There we go, big one. Oh, yep, giant. So this time of the year, there's a lot of things going on, but one of my favorites is now is the time that most of the fish in the country are moving offshore. You know, the spawn's over, you know, the shad spawn's over, and they're moving to ledges, especially on lakes with power generation, you know, up and down the Tennessee River. And I've got so many great memories of deep cranking ledges. So, you know, my favorite setup for this time of the year is a KVD CC6 composite cranking rod. This is a 710. It's a medium heavy action, and it's a launcher. I mean, with that composite action, you can throw a 6XD, an 8XD, or even a 10XD a really long way. So my favorite reel is a BB1 Pro. You know, it's got a little bit bigger spool. I'm gonna match it up with whatever size line for the depth of the ledges that I'm fishing. You know, 12 fluorocarbon is the lightest that I go, and that'll get a 6XD for me. With this setup, I can get them down to 21, 22 foot, easy to hit the bottom. If I'm throwing an 8XD or a 10XD, I can get it even deeper, but I'm not afraid to go to heavier line as well. You know, if you're fishing shallower ledges, don't be scared to crank that 10XD up shallow in the dirt with 20-pound fluorocarbon and just grind the bottom. You know, these baits catch big fish. And I've got this whole new Elite Series line that's available now. You know, there's 6XDs, 8XDs, 5XDs. All of them come standard with must-add KVD trebles in the correct sizes. This is a 10XD right here. And we've got premium colors that I designed just for this kind of fishing. And you know, some of these are some of my favorites right here, but depending on the water clarity and the main forage in the body, you know, that you're fishing, that's how I'm gonna choose the crankbait colors. You know, in the stained water, I want brighter colors. That's why we came up with this new version of citrus shad. So it's really bright. You know, it comes in all of these different baits. So these baits are just so efficient for covering water in that zone. What I like to do is really look for these areas, you know, with my Lake Master mapping. I mean, over the years, it has just been absolutely paramount for me to have that mapping to understand, you know, how the current flows across areas, points, ridges, humps, ditches, drains, all of that kind of stuff where fish are going to migrate to this time of the year. So Lake Master mapping is awesome. And now, you know, with forward-facing sonar and side imaging and Mega 360, as you're going down a ledge, it just gives you a tremendous view of what's out there. But to me, there's still nothing better than the feel of these baits and feeling those, you know, baits digging the bottom. You know, that tells me with this setup right here with a graphite composite rod, I can feel the shell beds, I can feel the gravel, I can feel soft to hard. Obviously, if you hit a big rock or a stump or anything like that, you can feel that as well. But burning these baits on these ledges is how I've made a lot of money. Now, a lot of people like to use a high-speed reel. I'm kind of the exact opposite. I like this BB1 Pro in a 6:2-to-1 ratio. It moves, you know, 25, 26 inches per turn, and I'm just gonna reel it fast. I just have much better feel using this 6:2-to-1 gear ratio than using a high-speed reel to tell exactly what that bait's doing and what kind of bottom that I'm hitting at the time. So, you know, I want to burn it across the bottom, stop it, start it, and give it a jerk, give it a deflection, and when it hits something, that's what triggers these fish. I'll make multiple casts, you know, when I get in a really fishy feeling area, you know, when the bottom feels real rough and it just starts feeling real good. I'll cast time and time again. When you trigger one, man, that's when you want to be ready. I'll have 4 or 5 rods rigged up and just, you know, I've seen it so many times where once you trigger that first one, you can absolutely load the boat. You know, for offshore ledge fishing, there's a lot of baits that can catch them, but there's nothing more efficient than a crankbait for learning where they're at and finding those fish. It covers a ton of water and it triggers a lot of bites and big ones. Nothing like a 6XD, an 8XD, and a 10XD for deep cranking. They are the gold standard in deep cranking ledges. You know, in most of these lakes, shad are the primary forage, so we want to design colors that really imitate the bait fish and then also are designed for the water clarity. You know, powder blue chartreuse is just a standard standby ledge fishing deep cranking color. So we came out with this new version of the Pro Powder Blue. I mean, this one just lights up in that green to stain colored water. This is one of my favorites. You know, if that water's a little cleaner, we came out with this new kind of ghost colored bait called Slick. This is one of my favorite colors. I mean, just really imitates a shad and it just kind of has that glow to it in the water. All of these colors are really designed to match the forage and the water clarity for this time of the year. So I mean, whether they're feeding on bluegill, shad, crappie, brim, whatever it is, we've got the right bait in this KVD Elite Series in the Strike King XD. So cranking offshore can be intimidating to a lot of people, but man, when you've got the right bait and the right equipment to do it, it's not that hard, and man, can it be just absolutely deadly. Some of the greatest days I've had on the water and some of the best finishes I've had over my career have been this time of the year using these baits and these techniques.